I'm hurt. I'm sad. I'm pissed. I'm angry. Today has been a wild ride of emotions. When I woke up this morning, I learned that Julian Assange had been arrested. His crime? Treason, because truth is treason in an empire of lies. His actual crime? A conspiracy. But that's for the future. But right now, let's talk about his arrest, and then we'll get to his alleged crimes. For me, they're heroic actions. But Julian Assange was illegally arrested, first of all. Under international law, Julian Assange was a political refugee, or asylum seeker, and was granted special protection under UN laws as an asylum seeker. When Ecuador was going to give him up to London and the UK, they had to go through due process, which they failed to go through. Do you know why they didn't do that? Because they were paid over $10 billion a month ago through loans with the IMF to do this. I'm sorry, but Ecuador had problems getting loans from the IMF, and a month after they get their first big one, they give up Julian Assange. I'm sorry, I don't buy the coincidence argument. After their leader ran on getting rid of Julian Assange, that was part of his platform. Second of all, the UK currently holds him for two reasons. There's two people who want him. The Swedes, because he skipped bail during the sexual assault charges, and those were later dropped, but he still skipped out on bail, which is a crime, failure to appear. And secondly, I'm actually going to figure out how much time he's facing because of that. I know Nick Sarwark was talking about that. And secondly, the U.S. wants him. They unsealed their indictment of Julian Assange. I applaud them for that. They have one charge against him. And that charge is conspiracy to hack the government. It's a very narrow charge because anything else is freedom of the press. Do you know what's interesting? This is the one thing Obama wouldn't prosecute him for because he thought it was too damaging to freedom of the press. Let me just lay out the case the Attorney General has given us. Do you know what it was? In 2010-ish, Chelsea Manning, an American hero, but at that time Bradley Manning, I believe, tried to hack the Pentagon. Assange tried to help her by trying to help get her the password, and he failed. That's the conspiracy. He then tells her, get more documents. I believe the exact quote was, curious eyes never run dry. And do you know what we found in those documents? Let me just pull up some of my favorites. Sorry, I just closed my app but had it. Give me 2 seconds. And I really do feel for Pamela Anderson. This woman, she had a very close relationship with Julian Assange. And he got illegally arrested. He's a political opponent of the government. It is what it is. He provides a service for the American people at the expense of government power. But this is what was leaked by Chelsea Manning. This is an incomplete list. This was just provided by Glenn Greenwald in an article for Salon back in December 24th, 2010. What WikiLeaks revealed to the world in 2010. And he just compiled some of the best stuff. Or some of the most important stuff, not best. This is from the Christian Science Monitor. April 5th, 2010. WikiLeaks releases video depicting U.S. forces killing of 2 Reuters journalists in Iraq. April 7th, 2010. Daily Mail. Ha ha, I hit him. Top secret video showing U.S. helicopter pilots gunning down 12 civilians in Baghdad attack leaked online. The Guardian, October 22nd, 2010. Iraq war logs. Secret order that let U.S. ignore abuse. This is the mistreatment of helpless prisoners by Iraqi security forces. These include beatings, burning, electrocution, and rape. Now, Julian Assange skipped bail on sexual assault charges that were dropped. But he's getting imprisoned because he helped uncover that the U.S. Army was allowing the Iraqi security forces and was ignoring their rape of prisoners. October 22nd, 2010, The Guardian. Iraq war logs reveal 15,000 previously unlisted civilian deaths. Not only were they ignoring rape, they were purposely misreporting civilian deaths in their war of invasion and aggression against Iraq. Foreign policy, November 29th, 2010. Clinton ordered American diplomats to spy on UN officials. December 1st, 2010. Obama and GOPers worked together to kill Bush torture probe. Let me go back to that spying one, actually. Now, Bob Barr, the Attorney General of the United States, is complaining that Obama illegally spied on the Trump campaign. Let that one sink in. And now he's arresting Julian Assange for helping to uncover that Bill Clinton ordered American diplomats to spy on UN officials, government officials. I'm sorry, but where is the hypocrisy here? It's everywhere. And this is a translation from El Pais, November 30th, 2010. Not sure how accurate this translation is. I don't speak Spanish. U.S. maneuvered to stop high court cases. American embassy issued threats over the cases of Guantanamo, Cosa, and CIA flights. Politicians and Spanish prosecutors collaborated on the strategy. This is from Will Bunch, the Philadelphia Inquirer, responding to the cables from Spain, December 21st, 2010. That was the day that Barack Obama lied to me. ACLU, November 20th, 2010. The U.S. pressured Germany not to prosecute CIA officers for torture and rendition. Der Spiegel, December 9th, 2010. It's the same thing. This is from Ellen Nickmeyer, ex-Washington Post Baghdad bureau chief and contributor to the Daily Beast, October 25th, 2010. Recent revelations by WikiLeaks shows how top American leaders lied knowingly to the American public, to American troops, into the world. Ellen Nickmeyer on the carnage she saw as Baghdad bureau chief. Sydney Morning Herald, November 29th, 2010. Yemeni president lied about U.S. strikes. He said that U.S. military strikes were carried out by Yemeni forces against al-Qaeda, but they were U.S. airstrikes in a country that we had not gotten congressional approval for war from. December 9th, 2010, Ceylon. Contrary to public statements, Obama admin fueled conflict in Yemen. The U.S. was shipping arms to Saudi Arabia for use in North Yemen, even as it denied any role in the conflict. BBC, December 17, 2010, WikiLeaks. India tortured Kashmir prisoners. The Red Cross International sent evidence to U.S. diplomats about widespread torture by Indian security forces in Kashmir. We did nothing. December 22nd, 2010, BBC. UK training Bangladesh death squad. December 1st, Reuters. UK agreed to shield U.S. interest in Iraq probe. And this is interesting. The UK and the US are actual war criminals. Tony Blair has a cushy job at the BBC. President Obama and George Bush are enjoying nice retirements. Now, Julian Assange, however, has been a prisoner for 7 years, just in the Ecuadorian embassy. The UN has agreed with me on this case. Now he's facing 5 years in prison or the death penalty in America, depending on what the prosecution can offer for evidence and what the judge accepts. But we'll get to that later. MSNBC, December 11th, 2010. WikiLeaks. Pope refused to cooperate in sex abuse investigation. The Guatemala Times, November 28th, 2010. WikiLeaks. Open and shut. The case of the Honduran coup. CBS News, November 29th, 2010. WikiLeaks. China behind Google hack. Sorry, I'm just making sure that there's no problems with the audio recording. The Guardian, November 30th, 2010. WikiLeaks cables. U.S. Special Forces working inside Pakistan. The Washington Post, July 27th, 2010. WikiLeaks reveals the obvious danger of Afghanistan. WikiLeaks confirmed on Sunday what critics of the war in Afghanistan already knew or suspected. We are wading deeper into a long-running, morally ambiguous conflict that has virtually no chance of ending well. The Guardian, July 25th, 2010. Afghanistan war logs. Massive leak of secret files expose truth of occupation. Now, he's arrested for helping us know that the U.S. government actively shielded the fact that they killed journalists. And other things as well. They misrepresented death counts in the war. He's going to jail for that. Now, my question is, why? I was trolling on Twitter earlier today because I was having problems recording this. And I kind of came up with this quote I like. when revealing crimes by government is considered a crime, truth is criminalized. Sorry, someone just walked in. I'll repeat this. When revealing crimes committed by government is considered a crime, the truth is criminalized. Now, let's get into the legalese of his extradition request from the U.S. government. They've charged him with one crime. Under the rule of specialty, which are laws regarding extraditions, international law, the U.S. can legally only charge him with what they asked him with the UK for, which is the conspiracy charge. And they can add other charges with, if there's exemptions, and I'm going to go through these exemptions, just trying to load an article that Nick Sarwark sent me on Twitter. If my phone will cooperate. Okay, here we go. Sorry. I've been on Twitter a lot today. Julian Assange is a personal hero of mine. What happened to him is a crime in the highest degree. Sorry, I'm actually turning up a little bit right now. And Chelsea Manning, let me just talk about her for a second. She's even big. She's maybe a bigger hero in this case. She's refused to testify against Assange, even though her testimony has been compelled through a subpoena. She's in jail for the second time over this case. The first being her initial sentencing, and the second now. I heard that, I remember reading somewhere that she considered suicide the first time she was in prison. She's going back in contempt of court. In the description, she posted a link asking for donations for her legal funds. A representative of hers did. I'm going to link that. I don't know if anyone has money to give. I don't. I'm going to link a petition that is meant to pardon Julian Assange of all charges. And for those of you who think that Trump is doing this in some secret 5D chess move, he's not. He's doing it because he's a crook. I'm going to play this video that was recorded. It's C-SPAN. And in it, he's asked, do you love WikiLeaks? And he will respond, I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. It's 40 seconds long.
Do you still love WikiLeaks?
I know nothing about WikiLeaks. It's not my thing. And I know there is something having to do with Julian Assange. I've been seeing what's happened with Assange, and that will be a determination, I would imagine, mostly by the Attorney General, who's doing an excellent job. So he'll be making a determination. I know nothing really about him. It's not my deal in life.
What would you like to see happen? What punishment?
I don't really have any opinion. I know the Attorney General will be involved in that, and he'll make a decision.
Now, here Trump is trying to shift blame to the Attorney General. We know who's really to blame. Several of his cabinet members have called for Assange's head. This is no special case. I'm sorry. This isn't some 5D chess like you might say. No, this is because Trump is as big of a crook as any government official. He's not draining the swamp. He is the swamp. And I don't know why the members of the press are attacking Assange. Sorry. Again, I'm really trying to get to this article that Nick Sarwark sent me because it's about the law. But he's a member of the press. And do you know what? Actually, he's not a journalist. Modern journalism requires that you don't do true fact-finding missions. Modern journalism requires that you work for the government at the behest of the government. Modern journalism requires that you're astute. He's not a journalist. He's a decent human being, so he's not a journalist. Now, I'd like to read some of these rules about the rule of specialty. Because CNN and commentators, at Fox commentators will say that this charge is forthcoming. That's against the extradition treaty and against international law. And I hope that whoever goes against that gets thrown in fucking jail. But now to the rule of specialty. 1. A person extradited under this treaty may not be detained, tried, or punished in the requesting state except for A. Any offense for which extradition was granted, or a differently denominated offense based on the same facts as the offense on which extradition was granted, provided such offense is extraditable or is a lesser included offense. So, if they find from the same exact facts that he broke another law, that could be the case, but it cannot be another hacking incident. That would be improper character evidence. And against the rule of specialty. B. Any offense committed after the extradition of the person. So if he committed another crime while in America, again, chargeable, unlikely to happen. Or C. Any offense for which the executive authority of the requested state waives the rule of specialty and thereby consents to the person's detention, trial, or punishment. And that would be if Theresa May said, you know what, screw Julian Assange, screw the American people, screw European people, screw Middle Eastern people, I hate people, I love government, try Assange whatever you want. For the purpose of the subparagraph, 1, the executive authority of the requested state may require the submission of the documentation called for in Article 8, which means that, the UK may call for more paperwork and submission of documentation saying that, this person did break a crime or did likely break a crime. 2, the person extradited may be detained by the requesting state for 90 days, or for such longer period of time as the requesting state may authorize, while the request for consent is being processed. So, say the U.S. wants him during this process, they can hold him for 90 days, or as long as the UK says, but the consent has to be given by the UK at the end of those 90 days, or however long that term lasts. 2, a person extradited under this treaty may not be the subject of onward extradition or surrender for any offense committed prior to extradition to the requesting state unless the paragraph states consents. Unless the requesting state consents. 3. So to talk about this, unless the UK says, sure, you can try him for previous crimes, the US can't try him for previous crimes. 3. Paragraphs 1 and 2, this article should not prevent the trial, detention, trial, or punishment of an extradited person, or extradition of the person to a third state if the person leaves the territory of the state requesting state after extradition and voluntarily returns to it, or B, does not leave the territory of the requesting state within 20 days of the day on which that person is free to leave. So unless Assange, serves his 5 years in prison and comes back to the U.S., or does not leave the U.S. 20 days after he gets out, any other country can get him extradited to their country if he broke laws in other countries. And that includes Russia. He released about 20,000 documents in Russia through WikiLeaks just in one go. They probably want him too. That's why he didn't flee to Russia like Snowden did. 4. If the person sought waives extradition pursuant to Article 17, the specialty provisions of this article shall not apply. Assange would be an idiot if he waived extradition. He'd be nuts. This is coming directly from this article from emptywheel.net. This is by BMAS. This is a code username, I guess. But again, this is coming from Nick Sarwark, a lawyer I respect, saying that this is legit. So I'm going off that. He's the chair of the Libertarian National Party. If the U.S. breaks this doctrine, they're blatantly breaking international law. They blatantly don't care about law deals they make with other countries. It never, I'm sorry. If the U.S. breaks this treaty, our democracy, our republic is gone. Our republic's already gone if the U.S. gets their hands on him. Freedom of the press is gone. We will only have media sponsoring of the state. It's not state sponsoring media. It's media sponsoring of the state. They work for the state. Julian Assange has more value to the American people and his pinky finger than all mainstream journalists combined. Quote me on that. He's provided real documentation of truth. He has never had to retract a statement made by WikiLeaks, because WikiLeaks only publishes documents. They have not interjected their bias into things any more than any rational person will. But the problem is the media is irrational. Now, what are the consequences? Julian Assange always claimed that he had a dead man switch, a stockpile of information that would be released upon anything immediately happening to him, or immediately upon anything happening to him. Now, my question is he holding that to make sure that he does not get sent to the U.S. In my opinion, he should release half. He should release half, and WikiLeaks should release half now. Half to prove they're serious. Kind of like what the U.S. did to Japan. Drop one bomb. Show we're serious. Drop a second, you get surrender. It's kind of screwed up. I don't agree with dropping nuclear bombs, but if his dead man switch is as big as he says, it's a nuclear bomb of information. So, my idea, my advice to WikiLeaks, if you ever come across this, I hope you do, drop the first half of the stash. Say we've got another one coming. Release him, don't extradite him, or the second half comes out. And at that point, Julian Assange is a real journalist. He gathered this information and released it to the public. He knew what could happen to him. And I honestly hope he's found peace. It doesn't look like he did watching him being arrested, but I hope he's made peace with the fact that he's likely a dead man walking. I don't think he ever gets to trial. I don't think that's allowed to happen. This man, this hero, made an enemy of some of the most powerful and deadly intelligence agencies and military services in the world. Now, maybe it's a prisoner in prison, a fellow prisoner, a cellmate, or someone else. Maybe it's in transit. Maybe he doesn't even leave the UK alive. I don't know. But 60% chance he never makes it to trial. And the remaining 40%, 30% chance, it's a secret trial, and 10% chance he dies on US soil. That's just my opinion. I hope he doesn't die. It hurts me to say this. He's a great man. And honestly, I don't know why the Australian government isn't fighting like hell to protect him. He's one of theirs. A true Aussie. Sorry, this is a little bit emotional. He is a real hero of mine. This has been a roller coaster of emotions this week, just other stuff, personal stuff. But truth is treason in an empire of lies, like Orwell said, and like Ron Paul's quoted him on saying. Perhaps the biggest thing I've seen on Twitter is normal conservatives and normal liberals saying that Assange committed treason. Assange is not an American citizen and therefore cannot commit treason against the United States government. First of all, that requires 10 seconds of looking up. And secondly, he's a hero. Now, I can name a list of treason traitors on my hands. President Obama, President Trump, President Bush, Dick Cheney, Donald Rumsfeld, James Clapper, John Brennan. Those 12 soldiers who killed those Iraqi citizens, or British journalists, I mean. The list goes on. CIA, the NSA. Those are the traitors. And maybe this spells the end for the American Republic. I hope not. It's an imperfect thing. It really sucks, but it's worse than the alternative, which is the revolutionary anarchy. And the other opposite being tyranny. The real tyranny, despot, like totalitarianism, more than so we have today. Maybe it's time for revolution at this point. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Maybe it's time. If we can't even see what our government's doing, maybe the tree of liberty must be soaked at this point. Maybe we've gone past what we can tolerate. I don't know. Time will tell. But to those who think that us knowing what the government does illegally and immorally is treason, then maybe you should move to Somalia. With that is Local Libertarian signing off. And I really do hope that these listeners are as pissed as I am. Good night. Good luck. And if you're the praying type, I'm not, pray for Assange.